Um, Here we are talking about the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. Um, Season number 2, totally different show than season number 1. Dorinda Medley being the star of the show. And as I always say, she has had some slight errors, and she's tried too hard or whatever. But you do got to think with her to be able to have all these years of these, infamous. I'll tell you, I'm doing not well, bitch, or clip. Like it's just so interesting to me because this is more like an all-star situation. Obviously on your regular seasons, you always have people you like, people you don't like. That's like the nature of doing great reality TV. But with this, everyone likes pretty much every cast member to a certain degree. But we're holding Dorinda at this like, oh, she's abusing her scenario as the person being at Bluestone Manor, and like she's being too meticulous with the way she wants to host the event. And I'm just like, two things. You host the event however you want to host the event. And you, as the guest, you have to be a good guest. You have to at least try your best to, seek what is needed, and mind your manners. And if the ladies aren't minding their manners and Dorinda has something to say, just an actual like conversation, like a rebuttal, I don't see what the problem is. Check the sign, check the plaque. I already kind of explained it. We don't have to baby anybody. And I feel like and when I say you, I mean the Twitter, the Twitterverse that seems to think Dorinda was too outlandish. You want these other housewives to be coddled. You want these other housewives to be coddled or babied, or I really don't know, but it has not been a bad Dorinda season, in my opinion. She has been nothing but fun. I actually have a scorecard of who are my favorites and who are my least favorites, and I'll say that in a second. But I will let you know, if you are watching my particular brand of recapping and podcasting, you're going to know that it's going to be a little bit different than what you see on Twitter and TikTok and Instagram, because everyone seems to think that Dorinda is too much, and I certainly don't feel that way. I don't feel that way at all. Anyways, I try not to be redundant with that. I try to just kind of state that she's a chick from the Northeast, and she's got an opinion. Like, what do you want? Sometimes I feel like you'll put it on the other person, like Dorinda, because Vicky or Tamra won't be accountable about certain things. So I didn't see her as bad. I thought she was quite a delight. I do always say, and I don't want to be redundant about this, but it is important to be redundant, because I do want to let you know that Dorinda did misstep in the terms of her kind of stepping to Brandi the way she did at the Red Lion Inn. You could say it's because she was drunk, but again, how do we get those epic moments? How do we get clip? You can't laugh at clip or not well, bitch, when Dorinda's messy and super drunk, and say, oh, that was funny, I liked it, but then at another occasion say she didn't treat everyone with respect and dignity. Who's to say they treated her with respect and dignity? I mean, do you ever once think Dorinda feels unappreciated? Like, you know what I mean? It could be that too. But anyways, I'm not going to spend too much time on Dorinda, but I do know that when you do a podcast, you have to decide, learn and understand where your point of view is. And I know one thing that is different about mine is so many people are on the bandwagon of ripping Dorinda, a new one, and trying to make it like, you're never going to come off pause. You're always going to be off the show. And I just, naturally don't think that. Maybe we're watching two different shows, or maybe you're more influenced by Twitter than I am. I could give a shit what Twitter says. What I think is what matters, in terms of what I feel. And if you're watching the show and you like what I do, then we're in it together. Anyways, let's move on. I do got to say one more, gosh, I don't want to call it negative, but slightly negative thing that I do want to talk about is we get the big information as we get into this episode 7, the finale. Last week I called episode 7 last week, but it's actually 6 was last week, and this is 7, the finale. We get the big news that Tamara is off pause. Speaking of pause, she's off pause, and she's coming back to the Real Housewives of Orange County. Oh my. Tamara to Real Housewives of Orange County. I don't think this is the greatest idea. She was great when she did it. I think a friend of would make a lot of sense. I have heard her in the past say that she doesn't really want to be a friend of. She doesn't want to just, show up on the show a couple times for cameos. She really wants to be, an actual cast member. But, I have a list and I'll show it to you right now, or we'll talk about it, of who was my favorite of this season, Ultimate Girls Trip. And Tamara was not listed that high. In fact, let me go to it now. So this is just me. This would be my list in terms of who rated high. I'm going to do a scorecard of 1 through 5. And so if you get a 5, you're, of course, TV gold on this show. You made Ultimate Girls Trip really fun for us viewers. And that's where I'm going to go by. So I give Dorinda an outstanding 5 out of 5. She made it nice. There was product placement of her books, product or brand, brand related, just tying in what she does and making not fun of it, but like having fun with it. Jill also gets a 5. Jill gets a 5 because she wasn't even there at the beginning because she was observing the holiday. But nonetheless, I think Jill is if she's too talkative, it doesn't matter. I enjoy her. I think she should have always kind of stayed with New York. She wants to come back. Let's give her legacy, which appears to be happening, but we'll, of course, wait for an official announcement. Phaedra, 4.5. Phaedra's a little bit difficult, in my opinion, because Phaedra, was the one where if you are a Candy fan, you just kind of really want to know the bottom of the story in terms of Phaedra saying, well, there's two sides of every story, and who's to say that we heard what my viewpoint was and how it actually happened. Candy, I guess she's assuming or kind of trying to explain to us, Candy's the belle of the ball, so Candy's going to get it where it looks better on her end. And I don't like Nene Leakes, but Nene Leakes did say some stuff like that before too. I don't agree with it because Candy just is, she's Little Miss career longevity. Candy is going to find a way. So I think it's hard to kind of find this concept where we're going to make it like, oh, well, Candy's just supported and taken care of by the network. But Candy just always is ingenuitive. She's experienced. She has a lot of skill sets. And I don't know that you could just have a blanket statement like, they don't know my side of the story. Well, Phaedra, you have to tell your side of the story. And I just always want to mention that because I don't want anyone to think I think it was acceptable or okay what Phaedra did. But she gets a 4.5 because she was so good on this season. Her confessionals made sense. I love Jill, and what I love about Jill, she gets excited and she makes her world famous chocolate chip banana bread cookies or whatever, or banana bread rather. And she gets so excited about it. And she's like, oh, yeah. Everyone's been talking about these. So I had to make them again. And Phaedra's like, well, one thing we know about Jill, Martha Stewart, she is not. She later goes on to have some other confessionals, and we'll get to that in a minute. Jill has an undeniable love of life. And she is, she's the princess. And I just really enjoyed her on the show. She's been missed. And even if she doesn't make sense on Real Housewives of New York because they're catering to a younger audience or whatever the case, Jill Zarin is just, in my opinion, I say all the time, her season 1, I run with a fabulous circle of people or whatever the tagline was. It was the best tagline where you got the sense of what the show is about and even more so what she's about. And her opening scenes in her first season, season 1, they gave you so much just by, I don't want to say that she is self-involved or spoiled, but she has an air about her in that way that we love. It's not an arrogance, but it is a way she carries herself. And you can't help it that if you're in at an event or a dinner party, that she has a story for everything. Why is that her fault? Maybe you got to step it up. If you don't got anything to bring to the table, that's on you. Don't get mad at her because she actually does have stuff to bring to the table. I think she's fantastic. I was so happy to see her back on the show. And Jill Zarin to me is wonderful. They make the joke that she could sell anything to anybody in terms of her products. And I think it's cute. I like what she's doing. The mother-daughter situation, her and Allie, the fact that they work together and, they wrote the book, I believe, together. It's a delight and I have no problem with it. And I thought that was a really funny. It's like she got embarrassed, sort of, not embarrassed, but like made fun of about that. But what's to make fun of? I'm talkative. Shit, I'm talkative. Like, what is to me? There's no joke. I have an enjoyment of life. I have an enjoyment of life. So Jill Zarin, to me, she gets such a high score. As I said, she gets the 5. Dorinda gets the 5. Phaedra gets the 4.5. Brandi gets the 4. I don't know why. I can't put in words why she doesn't get a 5, but there's some reason I don't give her a 5, but a 4 is a really good score. Again, what is the criteria? This is the Ronnie criteria. This is the random criteria. Get used to it because this is just what I feel. If you like Brandi more, that's great. I think she gets a 4. I think the reason is because we've had too many times with, her oversharing about Denise wasn't really necessary. And sometimes, I don't want to say this because I do like Brandi, but was there, in the 7 episodes, was there maybe 1 or 2 times she had a case of the I'm trying too hards, But listen, it's just an opinion. Somebody could say I'm trying too hard. I'm doing a podcast talking about her. So, you could rip me or dog me if you need to. I just am giving her a 4. I like Brandi quite a bit. She's really up there for me. Eva gets a 3.5, not because she was bad. I liked it because 3.5 is sort of right in the middle, leaning on the higher side. I like how she was business oriented in terms of she had fun with everybody, but she made sure she did her Ricky Smiley radio morning show, which is like syndicated in so many places. I come from radio, so I like always lean and appreciate a radio talent in any way. And knowing the job and the longevity you could have being on the Ricky Smiley morning show, the fact that she mixed the two, yes, it wasn't going to give us a ton of Eva fun, but that balance really did. I liked it. And, she's got the other show, I think on BET Plus, All the Queen's Men, I believe is what it's called. So, and another thing I liked about Eva, when they were talking about who wants to come back to the show, Dorinda wants to come back, Jill wants to come back. And a lot of people were like, what's the harm, Jill, in saying you're thirsty, you want to be back on the show? There should be no shame. Obviously, being called thirsty is not what you want to be called. But the bigger point is, a lot of them were like, do we want to come back on the show? Do we want to do it again? This, and this. Whereas Eva is like, nope, did my 2 seasons. I'm out of here. Not going to do this again. Eva has been doing this for so long. She, of course, in the modeling aspect, America's Next Top Model. And even the way she broke out of that and had her own identity for so many years, Eva's always going to get a check. And the fact that she got 2, filming this show, having great experiences, exploring Massachusetts and Connecticut and those areas, it was great that she also tied that into getting her radio show and keeping that check flowing too. So never count Eva out. She gets a 3.5 for me. Taylor gets a 3. Not anything bad. I just had lower expectations for her. She was the least interesting going into the show, but I liked her. I thought she was great. So to that, I would have put her something a little lower, but I was really into learning about her. And I thought she held her own and she was interesting. Really, the only weaker parts were when we saw her at the very beginning when she was with Tamara and Vicky, and it almost seemed like they were like, another version of a Tres Amigas kind of situation. Maybe, I don't know. But I didn't really give her the benefit of the doubt at the beginning. And she really talked to Brandi communicatively. She kind of, I don't even want to say she got Brandi together, but she did kind of say, this is why, and this is what was happening. And I wrote the book because this, and what you don't know is this, because you don't bother to ask. She was okay. Moving forward, we got Tamara with the 1 and Vicky with the 0. So I got to say, and you are totally welcome to think differently. And before we get into the aspects of the show here, I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see Tamara being interesting on Real Housewives of Orange County. I would say that if you think about it, this is who makes more sense. And listen, you watch and hear what I do. I always lean for the cast members to be of an older age. I mean, maybe it's because I love the Golden Girls and I want to see a Blanche-like character. Maybe I give Dorinda a pass because she is the one who dresses age appropriate. She doesn't try to be too young. She's kind of, when you get a little older, you get a little corny, you get cheesy, you get goofy. I like that. So typically I lean older with the housewife. But if we're going to talk about Orange County, I grew up in Southern California. So to know Orange County, you kind of have this like feeling of like what an Orange County, I mean, there's a variety, of course, but an Orange County person could kind of look like. And, I just always have the, be it the suntan, be it the nails, be it the extensions, like you kind of get the vibe. I don't know. I feel like losing Noella is tough Noella, of course, there's a lot of complicated aspects to that just because she is great. I do want her to come back. I mean, I guess it's not going to happen, but I think she should have came back. Noella, to me, is deserves to be on another season of Real Housewives of Orange County because there's a lot of interest in there. But the issue maybe that the network or production might have is not getting the access they need. You know, it kind of becomes a hollow experience when you get her goofy side, but you don't get, and her interesting side, but you don't get, you know, family and, you know, the mother is on the screen, but you don't get all of the stuff. Anyways, I will move on to say that I want Noella back or on another show. It'd be kind of an error for Real Housewives of Orange County to not put her back on. And she's the type, and we've seen this on other shows before, not just like reality, but scripted shows too, where all of a sudden, that cast member ends up becoming more successful outside of the show. And I don't know why I feel like Noella will still be in the limelight. So Real Housewives of Orange County, maybe give her a check. That's my opinion. Nicole James should be joining the show too. I definitely think Nicole James was interesting enough, and I think it really opens up to what actually happened with Heather. I don't necessarily feel like we have to bring the Heather aspect of it back. Like, it doesn't have to be like, oh, let's get to the bottom of that story. Let that story be old. Heather probably doesn't want to talk about it. That's fine. But like, why did she leave the show? And she had so much potential. Nicole James seems like she could be the future of Real Housewives of Orange County as far as on the younger side. And somebody get a call into Aubrey O'Day. I interviewed Aubrey O'Day years ago when she was doing The Apprentice. There's so much there. People love to make fun of her. I actually really, really like her. Maybe I've got a bit of a, you know, built-in bias in terms of interviewing her, really enjoying her, but then also loving and watching every episode of Making the Band and kind of having this thought process that where is that the old Aubrey that we all love? You know, where she's there somewhere, and sometimes we all need our redemption stories. And Aubrey, you know, in terms of location, she could be in LA, she could be in Orange County, she could be in Irvine, you know, but definitely she's a Southern California girl. She spends lots of times in Orange County, to what we know. It's been enough time where she's not like MTV reality, you know, she's done so many other shows. If it were me, bring in a headline drawing person like Aubrey O'Day to Real Housewives of Orange County. And, you know, I don't mind the older, like I said, I like a housewife and a cast member that is of an older age. It's having people older and casting older is always smart. It's not smart in terms of like everyone wants to do young. It's always about the young. It's always about the young. But that's easy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you get a cast member that could be compelling and at a certain age. I think Tamara's interesting, but she was the least interesting on this season, this show. Real Housewives, Ultimate Girls Trip, season 2. Her and Vicky didn't bring a lot. Very, very slow, boring confessionals. I think the one thing that was the most interesting she did all season was she talked to Phaedra about, we want to know more from your story. You're fun and you're sweet, but like, we want to know about, you know, maybe what happened with you and Candy and those rumors or whatever. And I thought Tamara stepped up in that space. Menopause Manor was the corniest confessional note. I actually don't even think she came up with it. You know, I've had my share of, you know, sitting behind a camera and a producer will feed you a line or there was a show that I had done and they wanted me to say, I don't sublet, I know let. Corniest shit ever. What I learned that day was if they do give you a line, chances are it's already kind of written into their show Bible or the script. And so I said it really lame and I wasn't really enthused, but they did run it on the air. So I now know if you're ever doing a reality episode, they suggest something to you, you better get into it. So I said it like, I don't sublet, I know let. Like, and it was very unengaging. If they were to tell me that today, I would know that I don't like that, and I would hope I'd hit other sound bites, and I did on that show, that particular show that I'm talking about here. And many of those sound bites make the cut. But if they've already written something, they probably want you to say it. So somebody probably said, hey, Tamara, say, oh, this isn't Bluestone Manor. This is this is menopause manor. And she probably got all excited and she wanted to make the producer happy. See, I think the thing with Tamara, and I'm not going to knock, she's going to be on the show Real Housewives of Orange County because she gets along, and that's great. But in life, you want to be casted for whatever you're working on based on your talent. Now, it is reality TV, so what's the talent? But I feel like Tamara, is going to be on the show because she's really going to be easy to get along with for the production, not necessarily the other cast members. Some of the cast members have something coming for them. I think Tamara will do really good. If it were me, though, Tamara, I've seen it. She was great back then. Brand of is as far as I would go. Spinoff, I would even entertain. Another Ultimate Girls Trip, I would entertain. But in terms of Orange County that needs a little bit of help, I have to label this a flop. Tamara, Orange County, trying to revive it, I have to call it a flop. I don't think we want to see it. I don't think we're interested in seeing her eldest son, be a smartass or whatnot, politically or whatever. You don't want to see that on the show. And I don't know if we will, but that's not what you won't want to. But maybe she'll prove me wrong because Tamara, I have said this is a 7-episode series, and throughout the 7 episodes, I have talked about how I love her on the 2 T's in a Pod podcast. I think she's really great there. Her enthusiasm when she does the Jeff Lewis show, her enthusiasm when she does the Watch What Happens Live. There is a lot to go off of, but gosh, if they put her in the center, sort of hoping that this is going to revive the show, I feel like I'm afraid it might not. And I watched last season. I was really into last season. Interestingly enough, I didn't watch a lot of the old Orange County, so I don't really have much knowledge of the Kelly Dodd drama, but I did catch Kelly Dodd and Rick Leventhal on YouTube, and they were really funny on YouTube. Now, don't jump here. Don't get, your panties in a bunch or whatever, because I specifically don't watch Orange County a lot. I watch early in the Tamara and Gretchen days, and then kind of like the mid Heather moments. But I really don't know much about Kelly other than some headlines. So it would be interesting. I'd watch this season with Noella and Nicole James that season. Gina and Emily and Shannon and everybody. And then on YouTube, algorithmically, it would always be Kelly Dodd and Rick Leventhal. And I'm like very intrigued by that. Rick Leventhal being like an actual reporter with his lady, he's reporting about the Real Housewives. Like all of it doesn't make sense. The show doesn't make sense, but yet here we are talking about it. So those were just a couple little opinions of what I thought. That is my list. Dorinda 5, Jill 5, Phaedra 4.5, Brandi 4, Eva 3.5, Taylor 3, Tamara 1, and Vicky 0. That is the Ronnie Jr. scorecard. If you don't like it, well, then turn the YouTube off. No, I'm joking. Housewives that and mind you, I'm going to get to the recap here. I'm just giving you a lot of extras today. I'm not really a segment person. Some of them are cool. A lot of them don't really come together, the right way. But I felt like this was our last time talking in terms of this particular series, 7 episodes. And I've been able to talk with you for 7 episodes consistently. And I was like, I wanted to leave you with a lot of stuff so you can continue on and also support and work, follow the other programs that I do. So I just wanted to give a lot today. So hopefully I'm doing that. And then we'll get right into it. It was a short episode. It wasn't short, but it was uneventful because, they were just kind of finishing out the Bluestone Manor stay. And it was just, having emotion and, all of that cute stuff. So I will talk about that for sure. But I did want to do one little extra segment here, and I'm going to call this Real Housewives cast members that I would like to see come back besides Tamara. So, in no particular order, a cast member that I would like to see come back would be Leah Black from Miami. Leah Black from Miami. What's there to say about Leah Black from Miami? She was missed on the reunion, the reboot rather. She was missed. It was a great season. I'll give you that. But she was missed. Do I think she'll come back? Only in a low capacity. There were some, as Giselle Bryant says, there was some word on the street that she will come back in a lower capacity. I never think she's going to come back in a higher capacity, and I have very specific reasons as to why. But Leah Black, Miami, she should come back. Charisse, Potomac, and you got to love it when you choose somebody who you at one point couldn't stand on the show. Charisse, oh, she used to get like, I used to not like watching her on the show. She tried with Giselle. Giselle would get her right in line, but she was good too. Charisse was really good. Charisse should be back on Potomac. Charisse, I could go on and on, but I don't need to go on a tangent. But Charisse from Potomac should come back. Claudia Jordan, Atlanta. I want to say that they were saying at one point she was testing to do Dallas because she was living in Dallas when she was doing her radio show in Dallas and bought a house in Dallas and is dating a guy from Dallas. But anyways, wherever you put her, Claudia Jordan should be back. Noella from OC, if she is indeed done. If Noella is done, I still think bring her back next season to give her one season to kind of, come up with more, more story, I guess, that you can share, because she can't share the stuff about her husband or ex-husband or whatever it is. But with Noella, I mean, again, she's always going to be the most interesting person in the room. She's like Giselle Bryant in that way. Certain people are just more interesting in the room, and you could try to tweet and show more tweet support to somebody, but some people are just compelling. I always make my judgments. Other people don't. You're compelling, you're compelling, you're compelling. That's all I go off of. Are you compelling? You know what I mean? And if anyone judged me too, they could say like, Ronnie's not compelling. Great, we're not all for each other. But I know you love me. Okay, moving on. And Heather from New York. Heather, holla, New York. I think she should come back. I know she kind of made her line in the sand the last go around with New York, but I really do want to see her back. I think she legacy. And not only that, like, I feel like she got a raw deal when Bethany came back in. That was like her last season, right? Like suddenly, like Bethany didn't mix with Heather, but so what? They should have still put Heather. Heather had the hot husband. She, she was a business, she kind of was like really about her business and a mother. She had experiences. She, worked with Diddy years ago. I like when the Housewives, we don't, while I love a Sonia Moore, she's kind of become like a little bit of a gimmick, we just laugh at Sonia Moore's goofy ass ways. And that's nice. And it is fun to have that warmth, but sometimes it would be a better thing if we could see Housewives. I actually had the same experience watching the TV show Love and Hip Hop. Love and Hip Hop, the ones that are the most popular are usually kind of a little bit of the mess, right? And that's good too on a lot of occasions. But the ones I always liked, like there was a girl named Tracy Steele, who was the wife of the DJ for Chris Brown. She was like always trying to get a check. She was about her business, but yet she never got more than one season. It never made sense to me. I always like the ones like Bethany Frankel who go in, they have an agenda, and they give you great TV. And with that, they launch and cultivate a lot of career success. And it's fun to watch, because you got to think about like yourself, I've been in radio since 2002, and there are peaks and valleys, I will tell you. But there are these moments where you're up and down. But when that career open door comes, you're going to swing and make sure that you connect on all levels, because it's not every day that you get the opportunities. I look at my podcast and all the shows that I do, and we're, are we up? Are we down? Well, we're happy. But I'll tell you this, we get a little opportunity, much like some of the stuff that I used to get when I was younger. Oh, we're going to make the right decisions. And I like a reality star like Candy Burris. As I told you, Candy is the queen, who get in there and get that money. And you know what I love about Candy? Atlanta's like the only season that I have a mutual favorite. Candy is the queen, but Kenya Moore, Team Twirl all day. I love me some Kenya Moore. You already know that. I talk about it so much. Okay, that's it. I just maybe I'll do one little segment as we get to the end of the episode about who I think would make a good fit for Bluestone Manor. If for Dorinda, we'll just go off of Dorinda. Like, should it be Dorinda with this cast, or should it be Dorinda with another cast back at Bluestone Manor? So Dorinda with this cast in another location, so they could actually go on a vacation, or Dorinda at Bluestone with another group. And I will tell you who I think should be. So I gave you a lot of segments. I really wanted to do a good job for you because it is the last episode. Let's jump into just a couple big talking points. Dorinda's attempting to be more relaxed. I love her humor as I talk about her charm, her goofiness, her love for life. She's a participator in terms of activity. Flashing to the end of the episode, she gets excited about what Phaedra brings to the table. Thinking about when they were doing the one dinner and she's dancing. Like, Dorinda wants to have fun, and I think that's what people are missing about her. She's not really mean. Does she overdo it? And we all got to monitor this in our own selves, me included. There are people. I have a friend. I have a friend who always wants to be in the vein of doing something really great, but will get so frustrated and AKA resentful about certain things. And it's like, if you just chill and let some of the things materialize naturally, you could still be that good person. But being a good person in the as it makes you become bitter or counting score, like, I did this for you, you did this for me, and you owe me. It really isn't fun. So even though I say Dorinda really had no faults on this season, I will say that I can understand what the people that didn't like her, what they feel. They feel like, you are the host, but you're making it unfun. And I could see that a little. And that's why I was a little bit thrilled that she was more relaxed and was trying to let loose. It's not easy. Some people are very wound tight. I say myself, I'm a Virgo. They say Virgos sometimes try to be perfectionists in certain ways. I feel like I've certainly let a lot of that go, but it took me till I was 41 to get there, or 40 years old to get there. So some people are just wound tight, and I to this day am wound tight naturally. Like, I'll get like, okay, this and that, and oh gosh, and this, and I have to do this, and I have to tell this person this, and I got to make sure I communicate this. And that's still a natural thing that comes to me every day, all the time. But I work on it a little bit better, and I like take a deep breath, and I'm like, okay, let's just chill. Like, it's not like I have to evaluate, is this that big of a deal? And I think Dorinda was working on that. So she wasn't making it nice, but she was working on making it chill. So we got to give her that. As I said earlier, Jill makes her famous chocolate chip bread. I love the enjoyment of Jill. I don't know what such a variety of viewers who like this show. I don't know what you like in terms of what makes a good housewife. Maybe you like somebody who drops memes all the time, or not, they don't drop them, but they do actions that create all the Bravo Twitter and blog and Instagram accounts to have a lot of memes on them, and you think that's compelling. To me, boring as shit. A meme is never going to be funny to me, for the most part. That's just always me. However, we're going to all judge differently. For me, the judgment is the enthusiasm. Jill is excited, and she wants to do this, and she does almost have like a motherly figure with the other ladies. Without any knock to her age, I believe she's the oldest one, or one of the oldest ones in the group, and she's fun. She's I mean, we've seen her mother on the show, and she was fun, and I just really like Jill, and I really like the excitement. She's like, oh, I got to make this famous chocolate chip bread on our last day. Even if Phaedra made fun of it, it's still really good, and I just love seeing Jill on the TV. Vicky fears getting old. She has struggles. She has struggles with her odd-shaped head and the head wrap, which was like a funny moment with Phaedra. Brandi has bedhead, and she's wearing yesterday's dress. She had obviously a really rough night, and it just was like, kind of feeling like the end, kind of like even recapping it. I've done this for 6 episodes, and now it's the 7th one. You're like, oh, we really got to know this group, So seeing Brandi sort of go balls to the wall and go that hard for the last night did make it like a little bittersweet that it is ending. We do get a really good moment, though, Brandi and Taylor, in terms of their relationship and how it is kind of coming together, and they worked through it. And, I definitely I definitely did not think that we would get that. I didn't see them getting to that place. It felt like the wounds were pretty deep. And, maybe it was a maturity on both ends, but Taylor was interesting to me, and Brandi, I think, is always a little bit she goes too far sometimes, but really a lot of occasions she's just misunderstood. And I do think Brandi probably is one of the funner ones to hang out with. Her podcast is interesting and all that, but on the show, she's just reflected in a certain way. And, I don't need these, in terms of a reality TV, a fan, a viewership. I personally don't need these same storylines to keep building. Let's because in real life we don't do that. I might get in an argument with a friend tomorrow, but it'll be a new argument. It'll be something different and unique. The fact that on this show they just drudge up the same stuff. It's like I always say, they're both queens. Let Karen and Giselle do their own thing. Like them to keep on going back and forth. I mean, I know it makes great TV and the sparring is exciting and funny to watch, but Kenya and Portia, I was just exhausted with it. I don't like Portia for nothing. Portia, very boring to me. Kenya, icon. But I still didn't want to see them go back and forth at certain points. Like, pay these women their money and let them, have other storylines with somebody new or whatever. And I mean, again, I understand why it has to be done. For the sake of television, it is a very riveting storyline, but sometimes I get tired of it. And Brandi moving on with Taylor and it kind of feeling like a new experience really made me feel happy about them. Jill takes the women canoeing in a summer camp counselor like style. We get a little cute story about Jill kind of going to camp and maybe being made fun of or whatever the case. So this was like her moment to be the camp counselor. I love the role, like I say, a little bit older, a little bit more motherly, but she has fun with it. And Jill really had such an enjoyment of life these last couple of episodes, throughout the whole season for sure. But I really loved her sensibility as we got to the end. Her hardest moment was with Dorinda, which I do not like, and I felt like it had got mended. However, when we hear either Dorinda or Jill, one of them on Watch What Happens Live, it sounds like they're not close. So I don't know if that means there's an actual issue. I hope not, because Dorinda and Jill are two of my favorites. Now, on the flip side, this might be a really great moment to entice viewers to Legacy if Dorinda and Jill are both on the show. I'm just saying, if that is the case, I hope they could mend it, because I really like the two of them. They do feel old school, Real Housewives when it started versus Real Housewives now. It's different. And I like, what Jill brought in the early days. So that's just my view on that. And again, Jill, camp counselor, she's excited. And we're excited watching, vicariously watching this moment. It's the last day. Couldn't be a better event, canoeing. Jill and Phaedra, they're going to share a canoe. And Phaedra's confessional is about Jill and all of her explanations. And she's like, well, I'll tell you one thing. If Jill is in my canoe, I'm going to get every detail on what to do, how to canoe, where to canoe. And it's the truth, because Jill, like myself, she's a good talker, and me, I'm shy. I'm a very, very shy person. However, when it comes to like engaging, I have such a love for life as well, that I probably would be very similar to Jill. So it's hard for me to make fun of Jill in this particular show, because she's I mean, that's the thing of the characters. They're all set to sort of remind you of different aspects of yourself. For her, I mean, I don't know. She's fun to watch, and I like. I guess I already said it. I like her enjoyment for being on the show, and the new boyfriend. He was excited for her. It's a big deal. We have too many people in this lifetime now that are too cool for the room, too cool for school. What's wrong with saying I want to go back on the show? What's wrong with saying this is really fun for me? What's wrong with, at the end, what I loved about Jill, she said, what'd she say? Oh, she goes, yeah, I'm really sad it's about to end, because I might not see some of these girls again. Like, that's the way life goes, meaning like they'll all move on, and yeah, the bond is tight now, but like, I love people who feel things like that. Stop being too cool for the room. And Jill was being, really, really emotional in that way. Although at the very end, we'll get there, we'll talk about it, but like, she says, I don't know, I'll probably never do this again. And then as they're all kind of being asked the same question, would you do it again? She's like, oh yeah, I would definitely do this experience once again. So Jill, we want you on the TV. Keep coming back, because that's what we love to see. Jill has a word association game as they get to the next location. So the next location is called the Chesswood Estates. Daniel Caesar French it was his estate, and he's the one who commissioned he was commissioned rather to do the Lincoln Memorial. These are the moments where I give extra credibility, or not credibility, but excitement to Dorinda, as to, damn, Ronnie, why do you like her so much? Like, what is it about her? Well, what it is about her is that she is, she goes, I mean, she had production to help her too, I'm sure, but I think this is all natural Dorinda stuff. They're just like facilitating it. Dorinda wants to show the women these things. She wants to say, hey, this was built in 17 whatever, 18 whatever, 19 whatever, and the women are like, oh, we like this establishment, and she's like, oh, well, they're the same people who got Bluestone Manor, who constructed Bluestone Manor. She just really has love for the stories that are within her community and where she grew up, et cetera, et cetera. And I think, let me make sure this microphone is still. And I think that is a fun and exciting watch. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. Moving on, Jill has the word association game, and she's explaining the rules in detail. She says it's very self-reflective. The whole group of girls are like, Jill, you don't have to say like, well, it's a self-reflective game and you choose the words, and the way you're supposed to choose the words is this, and what it will make you feel. They're like, Jill, we understand, it's word association. Sit down and let's start playing. Again, that's so me, over talking all types of shit. I think I end my phone calls half the time with, all right, I'm done talking your ear off. I said that actually today. All right, I'm done talking your ear off. I don't know if I'm doing that, but again, when you have an excitement and an enjoyment for things that you do, you're going to kind of go and feel that way. So anyway, Jill, who cares? You talk all the way to the bank, you and your businesses and stuff like that. And you and your princessness, she's the princess, and she's going to act as such, and she deserves, and that's great. I didn't like Phaedra's flashback. Not that Phaedra did anything wrong, but she was explaining, like, I don't always want to look like this person. And I think she really did a good job at growing and showing this new person that she is. We only call out the Candy situation because I want to let it be known that where I stand and how I support Candy in that. But in terms of letting people grow, we do have to let people grow. We have to let people grow. We have to let people grow. And that's easier said than done. And what are the terms of that, and how do we let this person grow, but then someone else not grow? We just got to look at the whole situation. We have to see how severe the things are. Lately, it's been a sort of a cancel culture across the board, and yet we're giving the same cancel culture elements for a minor error to some major error or major, infraction or, really, really harmful stuff. And, we just have to kind of like not make everything like it's the same, because it's really not the same. But I didn't like the Kenya Moore drag, because I love Kenya so much, and I didn't like Kenya being dragged like that in the clip. It's on one hand, if you're a Phaedra fan, it was Kenya's my queen, but like Phaedra got her good, like just like rough, But I didn't like to see that. But it was all about evolving for the most part, so that's kind of why it made sense. All right, so moving forward. This kind of gets you into the end of the evening, last day of Bluestone Manor, evening rather. Dorinda has such an enjoyment with life. She kind of bonds with Eva. Eva's like, "Ooh, Dorinda, body," just kind of giving her a bit of a compliment, and Dorinda's sharing that she's going to miss everybody. But I think she is going to miss everybody. I think she really tried too hard on certain levels. I'll give you that. But she really did enjoy this, and that is Dorinda. She really does like to be involved in whatever she's doing. And I believe that, it's almost sad that we don't really get to know her life before, how she was with Richard. But she was probably fantastic in I don't want to say a role, but as a wife, as a husband is to a wife and a wife is to a husband. And I think this is just the progression of where her life turned, and she's a widower. And so what I'm saying is she's always going to be involved. That's Dorinda. She is going to be involved in what she does, and have an opinion and be active. And I think there is the sad moment that she is certainly going to gonna feel. The bond with Eva was good, and it seemed like even at the beginning, Eva had said the one time, "I don't want to be here," in terms of the table, when everyone's kind of talking about one person and that person's not here to sort of defend themselves. So she had kind of looked at Dorinda and kind of went to go check on her. So Eva has really been showing that maturity. Not that she wasn't mature, but like she's been showing it a lot. And she did say to the confessional, "Good job, Dorinda." And I thought that was great because maybe that's what Dorinda, even if she's acting out of line, she just wants to feel appreciated. You know what it's like to do so much for someone else and never get the appreciation. So yeah, she's acting out of turn sometimes, possibly Dorinda is, but is she getting the, you don't do anything for something, but you also don't want to be taking advantage of. And I could see how maybe there was some deep, inner moments where she felt like people were taking advantage of the situation, not thanking her, and just making it a TV show. And, Dorinda is really attached. She's not just mean on the show. She's really attached to things. And I'm just giving maybe a play-by-play of where she comes from with that. Anyways, they're going to go to their next and final location for like a last dinner for the evening. It's Shaker Village. Dorinda explains this is where I guess you shake away your sins, kind of saying, let's kind of start fresh, I guess, in terms of the location. The location kind of is interesting. I think they go through the back way, and there's places that smell like manure. So they're all dressed beautiful. Dorinda herself was dressed beautiful, but it was just more funny. And Dorinda is great at that because she does like to show the women these places. Like this stuff means a lot to her. The history means a lot to her. She's taking them to places that were, in 17 whatever, 18 whatever, 19 whatever. She wants to showcase what it is to be up in the Berkshires and what you have access to and the great historic landmarks of the time. And the love she has in her heart for that is good. Does she carry it out in the right way? No, I mean she struggles sometimes. Yes, I will give you that. But I again, my scorecard at the beginning of this here episode was she was getting a 5, so I'm going to stick with that. And then I want to get your opinion on her and Brandi here at the end. So Dorinda gets mad at a Brandi joke. The joke is about everyone saying, "Would we do this again?" Dorinda actually starts the joke by saying, "Oh, I have another trip planned. We're going to go here." And everyone's like, "Oh, well, I'll go, or I won't go, or I will go." They all have different opinions. Brandi then says, in a joking manner, "Well, just make sure you treat your guests right this time." Now, I just think two things. Brandi didn't deserve for Dorinda to get that mad. Like, come on, Dorinda, it was a joke. But at the same time, if you pop off and say something, I have I'm not going extra. I'm basically just sort of settling the score, I guess. So Dorinda was like, "Well, how about, you I don't know what she stated. It wasn't about respect. She didn't say respect, but how about you be a good house guest or something like that?" I just don't know why one person could say something, Brandi could say, a joke, and then Dorinda could say something back. It's like, you didn't hear Dorinda go out of her way to say something and to, to tell Brandi she's this way, that way, showing your ass. "Oh, is it a dress? Oh, okay. I thought it was a shirt because your ass was showing." Like Dorinda didn't go out of her way for that. That is not a Dorinda thing. But it's kind of like you can't get mad at the reaction. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, Dorinda the most. She, that was unnecessary." But you said something about me. I'm gonna have an opinion back. What are we talking about? And then Brandi crying. I mean, this is Brandi who put Denise Richards' story out there. You know what I mean? Like, you have done enough. Again, Brandi's one of my favorite. I scored her very high in terms of my critique for who was really compelling this season or not. But she cried. Did she really cry? Like, if I was Dorinda, I'd be like, tell me she did not cry because I told her to be a good guest, like, and be respectful. Like, that's enough. It's too much. I don't want to hear it, actually. I'm Team Dorinda on that one. Sorry, Brandi. I'm Team Dorinda on that one. And that's just, I don't get it. But that was the only thing that we had. So let's focus on the positive. That was the only thing that we had the entire last outing. Nothing really bad had happened. Everyone was really in a good place. So it was good that it stayed harmonious. There was no deep cuts or whatever. I think it was enough for them to be like, okay, you hurt my feelings. You hurt my feelings. And I thought that was a thing that maybe Brandi did think, you hurt my feelings by saying that. I wanted to be a good house guest. And, I didn't realize I was inconveniencing you. That could hurt Brandi. I get it. Dorinda, you guys have not appreciated what I put into this. You're kind of making it as if I'm being this mean, big bad wolf. I don't appreciate that when I just want to have fun. So really in the core of it, I always say the natural emotions that we have, jealousy, rage, resentment could even come up. Those are all natural. Like, let's say you're in a couple, jealous. It is natural to feel jealous. You cannot fool your brain to say, no, I never get jealous. You're going to get jealous. The key is to know how to carry that out and how to put that into a place in a healthy manner. That's why, my favorite thing about, let's talk about the Northeast, New York City, 7 years, I spent the time there. And I love how direct people are because there is no place for resentment. It's like, this is what's up. This was what was wrong. This was the infraction. You made me mad here. Boom, boom, and boom. And then I say the same thing back. We're able to kind of go back and forth. Only certain lazy communicators, you're going to not, that won't happen. I had a situation recently where I was chatting with somebody. There was a bit of an infraction, I'd like to call it. And I said, oh, no. And it should have been just that. Or the other person could have reacted or said their side of the story. The person flew off the handle. So I'm like, oh, well, you were lucky to talk to Ronnie. This friendship may be moving in a different direction because I'm just in the space where if you had all that back there, you should have said it when it happened. But all these stories came out from yesteryear. And I'm like, see how different it is? You did something that I thought was whack as fuck. I'm going to say exactly like, hey, this is what I didn't like. Boom. And then we'd be done with it. But the person I was engaging with, all of a sudden, it was stories from 7 years ago, little things too, little things that fester. So what I'm saying is that's, I feel, why I connect more to Dorinda in this situation, because really she didn't let anything fester. Everything that she felt, and she got it out. And usually when that happens, you can move on a little bit better. A lot of people think that you can move on by not addressing it. Bullshit. A lot of people feel like, oh, if I don't like say anything, like we'll get through it. And I do understand, like, you don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill for every little thing, but I didn't see too much. I just didn't see too much in the space of, hold on one second. I didn't see too much. 1 second, please. I got to turn this thing. Okay. I didn't see too much in the vein of her being extra outlandish to anybody. But again, I've said that before. But it was good. They got through it. I was happy. Everyone looked beautiful. They're a great cast. Phaedra prays, and she has a sentiment of the prayer that is extended by Bishop Hezekiah Walker. So Hezekiah Walker says a couple words. The music is going. Everyone is really feeling connected to the moment. And it's kind of over, it's kind of the end of it. The ladies are also kind of thinking about, would they do another girls trip? Is it at Dorinda's or not? Most people say no for Dorinda. And I think the funniest part about it is we do get a clip at the very end of the show, whether that was edited from another time of the storyline or not storyline, but the, 8 days filming, or was this from, the last day? But Dorinda was eating at in the bed, which is of course what started her argument with Vicky and Tamra. And I thought I can admit that was really funny to watch. So, okay, moving on. Thought they did great. I already told you my scorecard of everyone. I want to end the show now, but I want to do one last thing, super, super quick. One part of it I will let you answer in the comments because I really don't know. Somewhere's fun. Where should this cast get a second season? Because I think this group should kind of go on and do another show. That's number one. Number two, so again, Real Housewives, Ultimate Girls Trip, season 2 cast, Dorinda, Jill, Eva, Phaedra, Taylor, Vicky, Tammy, and Brandi. Where do you think they should go next? Same cast, but let's put them, where was the first cast? Turks and Caicos. Like I would like to see it. Or now this is where, if anyone says it's Dorinda's fault and Dorinda, she shouldn't be on the show, because it's too much leverage for her. It's like, shut up. That's the same thing as when people try to always badger the person who gets success out of their life. And a lot of times, and this is what you don't know, a lot of times it's not the person who gets success that leaves their old friends. It's that the old friends don't really, they're the ones who are bothered. They're the ones who don't really feel comfortable in the situation. They're the ones who sort of create the wall. It's not always the person who, gets the big TV show or the big career, the big record label, in terms of, ascending away. It's sometimes the people who are stuck in the place and they don't want to sort of go and rise, and the friendships don't work. So if this particular group don't want to fuck with Dorinda, oh well, there's another batch, and I'd like to propose who I think should go. I kind of talked about this group again as like who are a couple of women for Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip that I'd like to see on. Some are new, some have been on before, and all of a sudden the light bulb went off that I was like, I'd like to see this group at Bluestone Manor. So here we go. We've got Sonia Morgan has not done the show, but I believe she's doing the show with Luann, and it's kind of a simple life kind of a thing. But I think, she's been to Bluestone Manor. The Crest situation with Dorinda was funny. And Sonia Morgan is just such a fun watch. I'm so devastated that they're making us wait this long for Real Housewives of New York. I mean, that was the dumbest. Season 13 wasn't even that bad. Obviously, things were charged up, but they could have done a special. If you don't want to do a reunion, they could have done a special. I'm just saying it's making me miss, and I'm upset that I am missing my beloved Real Housewives of New York. I hate when people are like, Beverly Hills is the best one. No. It is New York. Barbara to me did not get her full opportunity. I would like to see her back. Native New Yorker, business owner, kind of does shit on her own, kind of marches to the beat of her own drum. She, in terms of who she dates, she did say she dated women. Wasn't like the biggest, deal or whatever, but there's something about Barbara that I feel like we need more. I want more. We need more. Melissa Gorga, always an icon. I sometimes say more compelling than Teresa. I know people don't really like to see that. The tree huggers love Teresa, and they feel a way about Melissa and Joe and lack of storyline. But Melissa, she don't need a storyline. She's interesting. She's compelling. When she shows up in a room, people look. She's the J-Lo of Housewives. Larsa Pippen. People will say, oh, the Kardashians, and she's just riding their coattail. Are you kidding me? She was right there when Jordan and Pippen were winning all of the awards, and she was plugged into everybody at that time. And you're going to tell me the Kardashians are overly intriguing to her, like she's going to get a come up from the Kardashians? And the only reason I don't talk bad about it really is because I think Larsa and the Kardashians at some point will, and I think they already somewhat do have a bond or whatever, but I believe they will reconnect the friendship. I don't think they're the types that really jump to platforms and badger the other party or whatever. I don't think that's really what they want to do. Even if you're not close, and I have friends like this too, even if you're not close, you're definitely still not going to talk bad about somebody you used to really care about. That reflects really poorly on you. So I'm just saying all that because there was, for so many moments, everyone made it like Larsa was only interesting in the basis of Kardashian. And I'm like, oh, hold on, microphone fell. Let's fix this. I'm glad that didn't fall the other way. Okay, 1 2 1 2 1 2. Larsa was always interesting, no matter what. Season 1, episode 1 of Miami, I enjoyed her. Mother of 4, rode it out with Scottie Pippen as long as possible. And life's, just because you get the divorce doesn't mean you go sit at home eating bonbons. No, you keep going and start dating. And yes, the talks of when she future and this one and that one. But what do you want her to do? Sit at home and do nothing? She was a good mother. She's beautiful and she got money. She can do what she wants. Let her live. The great Kenya Moore I want to see with Dorinda at Bluestone Manor, and Lisa Rinna at Bluestone Manor too. So if they do another Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip at Bluestone Manor, that's the cast I would like to see. Leave in the comments who you think you would like to see, and who knows where they will go. Maybe they'll do an Ultimate Girls Trip podcast edition or Ultimate Fan Trip podcast edition, and then I'll show up at the Bluestone Manor, and that would be fun too. All right, that's the end of it. I wish there was more to talk about. As I always say, give it a shot. Patreon.com/RandomlyRJ Jr. Patreon.com/RandomlyRJ Jr. Over the course of the years, I've been in radio since 2002, been at this for such a long time, but the landscapes always change. And with that, you sort of start from the ground up in terms of digital content and content creation and YouTube and podcasting. So though the experience is there, and I've met everyone under the sun, from Beyonce to Britney Spears to Joe Rogan, Miguel, Christina Milian, all the people, Maria Menounos, everybody. I still, are working on this project sort of from the ground up, and I appreciate you watching that and having fun with it. But that wraps it all up. Hit that Patreon, patreon.com/randomlyRJ Jr. Thanks for supporting. There will be more great episodes. If you like MTV's The Challenge, actually, Paramount Plus is The Challenge. I've recapped every season of the Allstars. And recaps are not always what we do here. We also do pop culture POV, difficult podcasters, and an interview series. So it is busy. And if you like this, you will probably like some of the other stuff too. I do want to say thank you for allowing me to just kind of give my opinion on everybody. There is no malice in the judgment of anybody on this show. It's fun and it's funny, and they're all great cast members, and it takes a lot to put yourself on camera like this. You know, I've worked in radio for so long, and I know the emotions behind jumping onto a project, lending your personality, and people liking it or not liking it. So though I will be funny and say that I don't feel like Tamara necessarily fits the bill, I still, congratulations to her. You know, if this is something that she wants to do, I mean, could you imagine the excitement if this is something you want to do? You had been off the show, I think, 2 to 3 years now? Maybe just 2. And now she's back, like, vicariously living through her. That's actually very exciting. So all the cast members were wonderful. You, of course, always have your favorites. For me, it's Dorinda. For me, it's Jill. For me, it's Phaedra. But I thought it was done very well, and we'll see where Paramount Plus, we'll see where Peacock streaming network is going to go next, and we'll see where Bravo is going to go next. And you know what? We'll see where I'm going to go next. But taking us out of here, here's just a little clip of some of the stuff we've done over the years. And if you want to see more of this, hashtag randomly with Ronnie Jr. right here in the YouTube drop down search menu. Hashtag randomly with Ronnie Jr. You'll have all the new stuff that I've been working on, and like a ton of old stuff from 2005 and beyond, which is a lot of fun. But here is a little look at that.
Hey, Ronnie Jr.